All right, guys, we're going to talk about a very interesting newer Seiko monster, to say the least. The bold yellow here on the black case, which I assume is like ion coated. This is a special edition from the Asia market, which they are kind of known for using these dark green straps with unique colors. There's a few other models they've done from not just monsters, but baby turtles, the a few other models from the Seiko lineup. So they always put out these really wild, fun colorways, and this is definitely one of those categories. So first off, big thanks to Brian S., who reached out to me via my Instagram account, and we made contact, talked a little bit back and forth, wanted to send his watch over for video. So thank you, Brian, for doing that, because otherwise I don't know if and when I would have, at some point I probably would have had one on the channel, but that's not always the case, certainly when it comes to special or limited edition watches. And then from a totally different market, which is becoming increasingly more difficult to get in the US. I'm over in the US, so this watch was never released over here, so it presents a whole another challenge. So newer handset here versus the older one, slightly different, mostly in the hour hand, but it still does the Seiko rocket here. You're going to experience that in a few seconds here. When the second hand reaches the minute and hour, it's going to have a strong appearance of like a rocket ship. So enjoy that here in a moment. 3, 2, 1, and liftoff. There's your rocket. It's gone. Okay. So anyway, it does that. You can see this one. Well, let's get into the case size. You know what? Before I do that, I had a few people, actually quite a few people, stand by their judgment that these newer 4th gen monsters, and that's right, I called this is a 4th gen monster, a Seiko monster. First of all, we, the watch community, name these Seikos. Seiko doesn't put it out there. They certainly have embraced it. They listen to us, and they too will be like, yeah, it's a monster, whatever. But there's people saying that this is not a monster. Okay, first of all, it is. Now cars, I could kind of compare it to cars, but cars are typically named by the brand. They don't give it a model number of an srpf35, and then we call it a Seiko Monster, or a Ford Monster or whatever. They call it a Ford Mustang, and then they change from 1964 and a half to 2021. It's still a Ford Mustang. And nobody's disputing that other than the E-Mustang thing or whatever, or the Mustang 2. Those were not real Mustangs, right? But in the watch community, like, we get super finicky about this stuff. And I want to explain real quick why I am telling you that this is a 4th gen monster. It's an updated version of the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd generation. The Seiko Monster is not based on teeth, right? So when the 3rd generation one came out and they lost the teeth, it's not a monster. Well, the 1st gen monster was still a Seiko monster, and it didn't have teeth. So is the 2nd gen one not a monster and the 1st gen was? Okay, there's a lot of holes in your argument. And maybe there's holes in my argument too. And go ahead and chime in, but it's a 4th gen monster, guys. Deal with it. So if you look at them, it's pretty clear to the most sane people in the watch community that this one on your left is an updated version of this exact watch. And this exact watch, whether it's the 2nd or 3rd gen, has been discontinued. They no longer make them. So that, along with, let's take a look at the bracelet. A bracelet is a big part of a watch design, and the 4th gen bracelet is nearly identical to the 3rd gen, 2nd gen, and 1st gen, with, obviously differences, but you can see that it's essentially the same design. It's just flipped around, and it fits differently. It's a fitted instead of a straight. It has a wider clasp because it doesn't have the dramatic taper like this one here has that everyone complains about. Anyway, guys, now that I have that out of the way, this 4th gen monster here is the srpf35. It is a special edition, not limited edition, from the Asia market, as you can see labeled on the case back there. I'm not going to peel the blue sticker off, even though it's driving me crazy. because this is not my watch. This is Brian's watch. It's using the 4R36 movement, so it's going to be a day date. It has the Roman and English day wheel, and then just a regular date wheel with 31 numbers printed on it. And then you have the yellow dial with the black chapter. Case size, 42.3 millimeter. That's not really the case size, guys. That's the bezel size. The case size, as you can see, it tapers down. So if I try to grab the measurement from here to here on the back side of the case, it's like 40 millimeter. So quite a difference from the traditional Monster, which was 42 millimeter pretty much through and through. So this is 42.3 on its presentation to you, the viewer, but on wrist, it's a 40. The lug to lug is a 48.5, so a little bit longer than the old one, which was like 47.7. The thickness of this guy is about 13 millimeter. The old one was just under that, like 12.75. Hardlex crystal, candy bar day date magnifier. 20 millimeter lug width, that remains the same. And both of them have 7 millimeter crowns, screw down crowns, ISO certified diver, 200 meter water resist, all of that good stuff, 120 click bezel. Nice firm action on this one. This one will be a joy. I'm sure there's deviations from model to model, certainly, but even from watch to watch in the same lineup sometimes has deviation depending on what size the gasket is and the tolerances and all that good stuff. But regardless, this one lines up pretty good and feels really good. And I really like the Roman day wheel on this too. That's why I have it displayed. That's day 4 or Thursday. So the next one would be a 1V. So there you go. That's how the Roman day wheel works. I like it. I dig it. It's different. And then of course there's going to be a blue and a red, I think. I think the Sunday is actually a red square. And there you can also see the hour hand, you can see the difference there as well. The line doesn't go all the way through it, which that's grown on me. That's the thing with a lot of Seiko watches. At first I'm just like, nope, no way. Because if you recall back some of my older videos, this 4th gen Monster was released and I was like, nope, no way. It's not a Monster. I was in that camp too, guys. But the more I play with them, the more I see them. And I have, just like you guys, I browse certain sites and try to get insider information of new models coming out. There's some really cool new models coming out that I'm excited to see. Of course, this is going to have really good lume. We'll do a lume shot at the end. Brian also sent over, he bought this yellow silicone strap, and I'm not even sure the brand. It just says Silicon S2800. Maybe Brian can chime in and I'll put it in the description. But he was going to pair that with it for the ultimate bumblebee effect. Maybe I'll put the strap on the watch and show it like that too. But personally, Brian, no offense, I think that looks cool, and I'm glad that you're going to do that. I like its current configuration. I like the contrast of the almost military green against the black case and the very nice, it's not even like a vibrant yellow. It's just a nice, clean yellow. And then the yellow on the bezel as well. I really like it. All right, so let me put it on wrist real quick so you can check it out on my 7.25 inch wrist. And then, of course, I'll do a close-up, and then we'll do a lume shot, and then I'll swap it over to the other strap. These still fit and wear. I mean, if it's a Monster, guys. I'm a fan. I don't like the metal keeper. Seiko, you can do away with the metal keeper. I would be fine with that. But other than that, man, they're just nice. Some of the newer 4th gen ones that are going to be coming out, I am going to pick up for sure. They're finally going to do one with the actual stainless metal, not coated bezel. And there's another one out that's kind of like the, I think it was, didn't we call that turtle like the Ninja Turtle? It's that colorway. I forget what it's called, but it has like the orange hand. They're going to do that in the Seiko Monster as well, and a few other models. So I'm excited to see that. So let's kill the lights, and then I'll cut in the last shot of it on the strap. Pricing on these guys, they were, like I said, a special edition. They dropped, and so a special edition is different than a limited edition when it comes to Seiko, in the sense that they're not numbered, but they're only produced for a certain time frame. So even a special edition is technically kind of a limited edition. They're just not numbered. And it usually is going to be referring to that watch was made in that year, and then that was it. They're not ever going to make it again. But because it's not a limited, they could make it again if they wanted to. So it's a nice little loophole if they ever did just want to like make it again. So there is the awesome lume shot. think the older monsters are actually a touch brighter, but this one's no slouch for sure. So here is the watch in the configuration that Brian is going to do, and then here's a close-up of that dial that I did promise that I forgot to put in the main video, but here you go. You can see those indices are pressed in from the backside and then framed out really nice clean way to produce a dial, and I'm not mad about that at all, guys. It makes them consistent and it makes them clean for sure. So let me pop it on wrist now with the yellow silicone strap. And that definitely livens it up. Is that not a summer watch? That's a summer watch. 100%. Good choice, Brian. All right, guys, thanks for watching.